And welcome to Issues and Answers. I'm Jeff Jones. I'll be your host. I'm also the former mayor of the great city of Paterson, the third largest city in the state of New Jersey. And tonight, we're going to explore the personality, the strength, the character, the desire, and the focus of a young man who has every desire to serve and represent his community. I'm a proud son of the great city of Paterson, born and raised. I played in this library, I learned in this library, I studied in this library. And it is my pleasure today, as we look for some issues and try to get some answers from one of our guests, as we look at what's on the horizon and where we go. On this May 6th, Tuesday, 2025, change is coming. And as we wait for our guest, Mr. Casey Melvin, to arrive, we're going to have a wonderful time this evening. And here he is.
All right.
Hey,
how you
what's
doing,
up,
sir?
Casey? How you doing?
I'm spectacular, brother. How you been?
I'm well.
Right.
I'm better
Right.
now that you're here.
Yes, sir. I feel the same way.
All right. So
the energy is radiating.
I like it. I like
All right.
it. So you ready to get into this?
I'm fired up and ready to go, as they say.
And that's what matters. That's what
All
matters. Okay. So again, I'm always appreciative and I respect the work you've done. There's no doubt that you and your desire to serve the city and the citizens is paramount. And I just want to thank you so much for deciding to come here and share your thoughts timely enough so the folks can really understand the time for change is now.
Right.
And the type of character and the type of individual that they need to be considering standing in front of them.
Appreciate that.
And, so I think we can get this done. I have some questions.
Yep.
They're
Okay.
not going to be softballs, but I know you can handle it. And I'm assuming that the folks need to hear these questions because I don't think they understand what's going on. And so together we'll walk through this, we'll walk through the conversation, and we'll get ready to do what we got to do. You
Absolutely.
ready?
Yes,
You
sir.
ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready, and I'm going to answer it to the best of my ability. And whatever I don't have the answer with right now, hopefully I can bring it to you at a later time.
I think.
If the objective is to get their question answered. So.
Well, listen, that's what they want to know.
Okay.
All right,
We're going to do what we need to do.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Tuesday, May 6, 2025, a whole new episode of life. We're here at the Paterson Public Library. I'll be your host, Mayor Jeffrey Jones, former Mayor Jeffrey Jones of the great city of Paterson, where I grew up, learned, and served. Tonight, we're going to do some exploration, some conversation, and discussions with a man that I've grown fond of and have worked with and support and believe in. And his endeavor is to become a city leader, not the community action type, which he currently serves, but a representative sitting in City Hall, facilitating the laws and the issues, the budgets and things of that nature. And that person is to my right in the name and nature of Mr. Casey Melvin. And the interesting thing about Mr. Melvin is he doesn't quit. If he says he's here to support you, what I know about him, he's here to support you. If he says that it's blue and it's blue, you can trust that it's blue. And that's a rarity these days. More times than not, we deal with folks who will tell us it's blue, but it's gray. And so as we begin to embark upon our discussions for however long it takes, we're going to try to make sure that you're informed, because voting and making the right choices for our lives and that of our children and our grandchildren and our elders is becoming more and more important. We can no longer sit back and just have people sitting taking up spaces anymore. Those days have got to be in our rear window. And so they won't get there unless we get to know who's running, who's interested, why they're interested, and what they bring to the table. That being said, Mr. Melvin, are you ready?
I'm ready, sir. I appreciate the opportunity and the introduction. You know, you said some key things that I think is the premise for a good, healthy, wholesome conversation is the respect factor. So if we respect each other, we can have no other thing but to have a great, fruitful conversation. So I appreciate that.
See what I said? See what I mean? Why don't you talk to us and tell us who you are, how you got it, and why, more importantly, why do you think these shoulders are ready for this task?
Okay.
All right, so, take it away. Let us understand why our investment in Casey Melvin to be the leader for our community is important for us.
Okay, again, another great question, and I think that's important too, and that sometimes, we just assume that people may know us or know what we do and know what we bring to the table, but that's not always the case. I've heard quite a few times, like, who is this guy? What has he done, right? And I do have to say honestly, right, like I've never been one, as much as I would, respectfully say, as much as I've done within my past 55 years in life, right, in the city of Patterson, with 30 years of community service, like consistently community service, and working with the Board of Education, with the parent groups, doing community activism work, and Raleigh's going to Trenton for education, and balancing the budget, and I ran for office. This is my third run for the council at large seat. A business owner for over 30 years. Right now, my current position, working with victims of violence, providing services. A parent, of course, of three. I have three
that's
adult,
important,
now adult children.
I don't want nobody talking to me about children that they don't have any.
Right,
That's all I'm saying.
Right. A homeowner. I've owned multiple properties. So when we talk about the taxes, when we talk about home ownership, when we talk about your investment in the community and paying taxes, I know that very well. Okay. Born and raised in the city of Patterson. I'm not an implant or transplant, or I didn't just pop out of nowhere.
You said I ain't come here. I'm from here.
Yeah.
Okay.
That I like that.
Okay.
So and then my family being in the struggle, I've lived in several of the wards. I lived in the 1st ward. I lived in the 5th ward. I lived in the 3rd ward. Lived in the 4th ward. The only ward I lived in, even lived in the 2nd ward. Only ward I haven't lived in is the 6th ward.
So you had a taste of the flavors.
All flavors that the flavor can offer. I've tasted it all, and I've seen a lot. And then I think most importantly is I come with a degree of civility and understanding and compassion and diplomacy, because we can say who we are and what we do, but then there's other folk who can tell you otherwise, right? Or when individuals are put under certain pressures or put to task on certain situations, how do they turn out?
The mere fact that you have lived in most of the city, and I'm going to say all of it, because where you didn't live, you served. You're a businessman, 30 years I heard you say, parent. I know of some of the work I personally know of some of the work you've done with Save the Babies organization, the fundraising, the book drive, the book bag drives. I know of those things.
The Day of the Babies, yes.
I remember the organization with the gentleman, and I can't think of escapes.
The Brothers of Patterson.
Brothers organization. So, but let me just say it this way. There are many folks in the public who don't know those organizations. They don't know that work. And so as a candidate, a future candidate, a person who has run, and so let's get to that. You ran 3 times. What happened?
So every election got me closer. Well, twice I ran. This would be the 3rd election.
Okay, so this is 3rd. You didn't run 3 times.
No,
okay.
I ran twice. This is the 3rd run.
Okay.
So the 1st election, short time, but and it was kind of, it was a short time, but I think that was the best time, because I think the best time is when you're ready. Right.
So you were inspired the first time. It was all inspiration.
And the key thing for my inspiration, I think, is important, because the old saying, being sick and tired of being sick and tired.
I know that one well.
And having to stand up and take a stand for issues that you believe in. And what propelled me back in 2018 was the fact that I've witnessed a lot of our properties go to outside developers. Right.
Okay.
And that, to me, that was the energy that fueled my wanting to be in office, because I would go to the council meetings, I would go to City Hall and try to get our elected officials.
Are you saying that you weren't elected, but you took it upon yourself to go to these meetings to be clear and hear? Now, I understand you say you have property owner and stuff, but you're saying you were in the midst of the council meeting, standing there, sitting there, wherever the case was, trying to understand why our properties and the opportunities that should have gone to citizens were going elsewhere.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. I didn't say some of that.
And I think at that point, it didn't get where it needed to go. I don't know, maybe individuals, their minds were somewhere else, or they didn't really understand the importance of home ownership, or maybe it just wasn't that time, but I felt it so important that I said, you know what, instead of me trying to educate somebody and convince someone to do what I consider and what most consider home ownership to be the right thing to do, let me be the one to push the agenda myself, or at least start that.
Fair enough.
that kind of fueled my first run.
Okay.
And then it started to grow from there. I got a pretty good response based on like a 90-day election, a 90-day campaign. I got a pretty good response. And then the next election, which was 2022, we came in 4th place, just.
How many seats are there?
There's 3 seats available at large.
So
Three
you
seats.
ain't far off.
No, and it was about, I believe it was 10 candidates. 10
Ooh, okay.
candidates
So
running.
10 people are feeling that they could do a better job.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. And I came in 4th place. I had a grassroots team.
Okay.
Didn't have any large major sponsorships. Didn't have many major machines behind me.
Is that a concern this time?
I think it's always a concern. The more people behind you, the better your chances are.
When you say more people behind you, are you talking about interests outside of Patterson, or are you talking about folks here internally and whether or not they understand the importance of having a representative that they know and wants their agenda met? Because there's two. Them folks outside.
And you would know that better than anybody, right?
It wasn't a softball, but I'm throwing it.
No, listen. So again, let me go back to what I said earlier about me not being the all-knowing, right?
Okay.
But I do know what I know, right? And what I don't know, I seek the advice and counsel of individuals like yourself and those who've been around. So understanding that, I do know that there's external entities and external ideologies that want to implement their philosophies and their agenda in the city of Patterson, and they use elected officials as their conduits.
I got to correct you on that.
Please do.
They're not. I don't believe they're doing anything about ideologies. They have selfish interests, and it's about garnering access to resources that citizens of the city can't get, and they become multimillionaires and then some while we starve. And that's always been my challenge and my pushback, and not to say anything about the Jeff Jones saga, but to say that is the battle that's often been waged and we still don't seem to understand it for whatever reason. So without knowing it, and maybe you do, some of what you just identified is who Casey Melvin is. And what I think I heard you say, and I hope those in the audience and on Facebook heard, that you don't just put up, you don't just speak up, you put up. And that you have decided to do your own personal research and be your own self-advocate, and you've been internalizing the processes, the understanding, and vocalizing. So two attempts prior to run for the same seat.
Yes.
And what do you think now? What differently might you do without telling your secrets? But is there any particular, not even particular, how do you feel? Let's say that. Are you ready?
I'm definitely ready.
Okay.
I'm ready, and I think the earlier I start and the more opportunity I get to put the word out there of the importance of how important our municipal council election is. We have 3 seats. That's 1/3 of our legislative body will be. Excuse me. I want to apologize in advance if I use the word body, because the body is not a correct word for describing our legislative branch, right? It's a legislative branch, and the mayor's office is the executive branch, and together we form a body. I think what's happening.
That's deep. That's deep. Okay.
And you talked about working together, but then people working in silos, because people think, and they carry on with the ideology that the legislative body, the administrative body, no,
so
those are branches.
Right.
And if you go in there with the mindset that I'm a branch, my office is a branch, our level of government is a branch, and their level of government is a branch, and when we come together, we form a body, I think things start to change there. It's not an I independence or us against them. It's we're all one. Like a body, all these organs, there's, the digestive system doesn't sit by itself. The circulatory system doesn't sit by itself.
You have anatomy here. Okay.
All of those are components of a body, right? So when you talk about a body, not a branch. Of a body, but we're branches. We're systems within the body.
So to the public, I just want to throw this out there to the public. You're having an opportunity, you're having a moment to hear what I think most of us have not had over the decades. Someone talk with us about who they are and why they think they're ready and why they think our support is necessary.
I'm asking, the public, the members of the city of Patterson, the registered voters and non-registered voters who are of age, to please get registered, because this election is important. Not only do I talk about the election of 1/3 of the legislative branch, the branch who makes the laws, the branch who determines what time you take your garbage out, what time the garbage is picked up, what time the streets are open, what time the streets are closed, what the streets are named, and everything that is relative to law and ordinances. This group makes this up. So 3 of the 9 people will be elected upcoming 2026, and the CEO, the chief executive officer, will also be elected in 2026 of May. So it's very, very important that you make your voice heard through your vote. You know, go out and vote. Please register to vote. If you haven't been registered, please check your voter registration. You can go on the voter registration, New Jersey voter registration website, and check your status. Register to vote. You have plenty of time before 2026. There's some very serious elections going on outside the municipal election in the city of Paterson. We got the Assembly, the Congress, the Senate, I believe, as well, and the governor's race is coming.
So we got some practice.
So you can really get your voting game on within this next year. But most importantly, I need you to register to vote. If you're already registered, go out and vote in May for myself, because if you're 18 or old, if you're anything older than 18, I know with all the surety, without even knowing you, that I know that you're not happy with what's going on in the city of Paterson. I know you're not. I'm asking, the public, the members of the city of Paterson, the registered voters and non-registered voters who are of age, to please get registered, because this election is important. Not only do I talk about the election of 1/3 of the legislative branch, the branch who makes the laws, the branch who determines what time you take your garbage out, what time the garbage is picked up, what time the streets are open, what time the streets are closed, what the streets are named, and everything that is relative to law and ordinances. This group makes this up. So 3 of the 9 people will be elected upcoming 2026, and the CEO, the chief executive officer, will also be elected in 2026 of May. So it's very, very important that you make your voice heard through your vote. Go out and vote. Please register to vote. If you haven't been registered, please check your voter registration. You can go on the voter registration, New Jersey voter registration website, and check your status. Register to vote. You have plenty of time before 2026. There's some very serious elections going on outside the municipal election in the city of Paterson. We got the Assembly, the Congress, the Senate, I believe, as well, and the governor's race is coming.
So we got some practice.
So you can really get your voting game on within this next year. But most importantly, I need you to register to vote. If you're already registered, go out and vote in May for myself, because if you're 18 or old, if you're anything older than 18, I know with all the surety, without even knowing you, that I know that you're not happy with what's going on in the city of Paterson. I know you're not.
Let me just say that I appreciate you segueing into that. And you're right, it slipped my mind. But we have a series of elections that are coming up. And so the most important election, one of the most important, if not the most important, is what's happening here locally in our community.
That's right.
School board, got to put people in office who understand the value of education for all of our kids, not for some kids. Then the governance. Mr. Melvin is absolutely correct. Ladies and gentlemen, if you didn't hear from me in my past, hear from me today. Walking down the street is allowed because the people who vote, who you put in office, give us that opportunity or support that through legislation. That's what they do. And then crime, taxes, that's what they do. And if a person doesn't understand, and if you watch the city council, I can't anymore. I can't. My blood pressure don't allow me to. But if you watch it, you'd have to question how some of these folks are even serving. I'm not calling anybody's name out, but you'd have to ask the question, how? And so the answer to the question is this: because we're not engaged. And if you're not engaged, that's what we get. So you've got school board elections, you've got the city council election, and he's referring to the 3rd. There are 9 members of the city councils. 3 of them are at large and 6 are ward. And he's vying for a seat for one of the at large. And the at large supports the entire city. So wherever you are in the city, you hear this conversation. You say, I think I like this guy. I want to know more about this guy. You, by your vote, your actions, regardless of your ethnic or cultural background, can vote for this man, this person, based on what you're getting today and future. Then you have the assembly race. The assembly, where state laws are made. The Senate, where state laws are made. We tend not to participate in those things. We tend to believe it's somebody else's responsibility. Oh, really? How many of you looking to figure out how to do that DMV thing? Because I got to figure it out. When you've got rules that are coming down, DEI, federal, when we got all these rules coming down, we better make sure that we got a champion or champions fighting for us locally first, and then state, and then at the congressional level, and then ultimately the governance level, and then president. So I want to say to you that you addressed the question about the city challenges, and you didn't have to go through each one of them, but I like the way that you presented them in a framework about living, and I think that's important. But again, ladies and gentlemen, this is about you. You've got to make some decisions, some choices, and then after you commit to things mentally, we got to take the action. It's not enough to say I like him or I don't like him. If you don't know him, if you don't like what you heard, reach out to him, find out. How can folks reach out to you?
So you can call me at my number. You know, let's do this to be safe, so I don't get over and then inundated with phone calls on my personal phone. So you can go on my website, my Facebook page, KC Melvin.
How do you
Facebook.
spell it? All right.
It's CASEYMELVIN at Facebook. My website is the same thing, kcmelvin.org. And you can email me at cmelvin for council, that's CMELVIN, the number 4, council, COUNCIL @gmail.com. You can email me. I'm in Patterson, I live in Patterson, so I'm on social media, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, and I have the website, so you can reach me either that way. I'm still developing. I had it at the previous election, but I have my mobile headquarters. I have a renovated box truck that I'm going to renovate inside of it, where I can come to your location. We can have a conversation right inside the back of the truck. It's going to be decked out. We're going to talk about issues. We're going to register people. We're going to build our committee. I want to start small committees so we can deal with issues direct.
Sounds like you're trying to create a movement.
I think a movement is necessary, you know, because all these issues you talked about, the challenges that most cities face, there's going to require a movement to get that done. And I do want to add, in regards to movement and working together, is my objective with the council is not to go against the council, it's not to challenge the council, it's not to degrade the council, or it's not to make the council look bad. It's to work with them, work with those who are willing to work, you know, improve our appearance, because every time we always hearing how bad the council is looking, how unprofessional.
Well, they do look bad.
How they
You
lack
ain't got to say it,
decorum.
but I'm telling you,
Well,
they look bad.
You know, I want to add some greatness to it.
What happens, and as we close, what happens if that moment by which meeting with them, working with them, all that stuff is without benefit? Are you willing to rise up and go a totally different direction? Because I think the change that's necessary, not just here, but all over, is about people rising up and saying, listen, enough is enough.
Mr. Melvin, would you consider running for mayor of Patterson?
Would I consider that? At this time, I would not. At this time, I would not. I would like to see what I can do at the council level first, at the legislative level, and then work toward the administrative level, if that's in the cards for the future. But right now, I'm not considering it. I would not consider it.
Fair question. The question was, would he consider running for mayor at this point in time? And you know what? A good
I
answer,
didn't mean not now,
but you got to consider it. The whole point is to consider it. You don't know what the limits are. Got it. I want to thank you, Mr. Melvin, Casey Melvin.
Yes, sir.
And I want to thank the Patterson Public Library for allowing us this opportunity to sit here and have this discussion. This is one of our first podcast opportunities. And one of our first opportunities to start getting us all prepared for what's coming, and that is the rest of our lives, because voting matters. By the way, if you don't vote, you voted. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Jeff Jones. It's been a pleasure. Mr. Melvin, It has
Appreciate
been a
you, sir.
pleasure.
Yes, sir.
And until the next time, be safe and be well.
Peace.
We're out.
Mr.
It's about emotion.
Yeah, but I think we need to be more professional and more stable than emotional, because that's what we've been seeing, the emotional side of folk, and we never elected them for that.
No, we didn't.
You
But
know,
we
we
wind
need-
up settling for that. We settled.
Yeah.
When they get down there and start acting.